right, welcome back everybody to yet another episode of These Corona Times. We thank you so much for tuning in. This is Tiffany as always, and we got Simone with us. Dr. Simone.
Doctor.
Yeah, we got to make sure we give her titles. And we got Brandon in the house. What up?
What's up, everybody?
How y'all doing?
Oh, man. What a week.
What a week.
Man. We are back for episode 7. I can't believe that we are in the middle of June at that. Goodness. But already on our 7th episode. This week we're going to be talking about something that's very near and dear to our hearts because it's happening in the next couple of weeks. We're going to discuss voting and how that's impacted in these Corona times. I won't take anything away from Brandon, so I won't go into the description of the episode. But we got a very special guest with us today, a friend of ours and local councilwoman.
Way back.
Yeah. A good old friend, like grew up together friend. Councilwoman Keisha Dorsey will be with us a little bit later in the episode. But first, always we want to thank you guys for the love and support.
Thank you.
We appreciate you all watching, sharing, and liking. I've had a lot of side conversations with people who've been watching the episode, so we really appreciate the continued support and feedback.
So true. I'm still getting text messages and just side conversations about folks, really passionate about what we're talking about. So thank you all for watching.
Mm-hmm. So one thing.
Go ahead, Tiff. What were you going to say?
The funness of Zoom. I said one thing you could do is make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. That way you'll know when episodes drop. They come out every Monday around 3 o'clock. So
3-ish.
3-ish. Yeah.
Or like last week it came out Tuesday.
Yeah. Yep. So just, follow our channel. And don't just watch this one. Go back and watch the other ones. We've had some really good episodes leading up to this one, if I say so myself. So jump on These Corona Times train, if you will.
And there is definitely more to come. So like Tiff said, we are going to be talking about voting and the importance of voting. In the midst of all that, we're still dealing with some of the other stuff that we talked about in past weeks. So I definitely want to check in with folks and see how they did with their self-care goals. Can I go first since I remember what I was supposed to do?
Yep.
About time. Only took a month.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I was supposed to eat better. I did eat a lot better and I feel better. That bloating feeling you get when you just don't eat right, you don't drink enough water.
Yeah.
So I don't have the bloat, so I'm feeling good. Maybe that's a TMI, but I mean, hey.
We all adults.
Yeah.
So I feel better. And also I got outside. I was outside with my family today and yesterday and had a really nice time just getting some exercise and all that. So much better with my self-care goals.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's up.
You want to go?
Yeah, I'll go ahead.
Okay.
For me, it was really just kind of spending a little bit more time, for myself and more self-care and just kind of chilling out. So I did all that by default. So my one of my jobs requires me to drive like 35 minutes. And so I was able to do that, listen to the radio, listen to NPR, catch up, do a couple of phone calls while I'm driving on my hands-free unit, hands-free, Bluetooth, but do a couple of phone calls, just kind of just mentally prepare myself going and then mentally prepare myself for anything that I may face coming back home. So it's actually been pretty solid.
That's what's up.
Yeah,
So
what about you?
mine this week was to not worry about things that I couldn't necessarily fix. I was going to try to take some of the stressors off my plate for this week. And I'll say some days it happened and some days it didn't. Some days were better than others.
Mm-hmm.
But I really did try hard to not just worry about things that are kind of beyond my control. I think it's my natural characteristic to try to fix things sometimes. And sometimes things don't need to be fixed. They just need to happen. I let things happen sometimes. So I feel good about what I was able to do. I wish I could do it more. So I hope that I can just, aside from this week coming, I'm going to change my goal, but I hope I can just continue to further that as a self-care goal, just even past Corona, just learning how to not worry about so much stuff that's beyond my control.
I have to say, you really, you done a good job just from an outside perspective, because, we've been friends for a long time and we talk about these things and we're polar opposites.
Yes.
You fix stuff and I'm like, I don't So I need to be a little bit more like you. I need to care more, and then we need to mesh together.
We do. I feel like when I said to go, you didn't believe me.
I know you, but you did a good job.
I think Simone's wearing off on me. I think she's rubbing off on me.
Whatever, Brandon.
Yeah, right.
I didn't say anything. Did not say anything.
Brand, you want to introduce the episode for this week?
Most definitely. So 2020 is a really important year, not just because of coronavirus, Rona, COVID-19 or whatever, but it is an election year. And the thing that gets the most publicity is the presidential election that's happening in November. But there are a lot of other important elections that are local that are happening. Some have happened within the last week and a half, and then others happen in the next week and a half. I know here in Kentucky, we have ours that starts not this coming Tuesday, but the following Tuesday, the 23rd. Mm-hmm. And so we wanted to talk a little bit about how voting is impacted by coronavirus, number one. What are things, talk about maybe a little bit of voter suppression, talk about why it's important to vote local, talk about how we can help and volunteer and all of those types. There's a lot of topics that come from voting. We want to just kind of hit on a couple of those, just so our viewers can be a little bit more informed about what's going on. And, it kind of helps us to kind of dig in a little bit deeper and kind of figure out what we need to do. Who's running, why are you going to vote for so-and-so? Don't just blindly go in and say, I'm voting Democrat or I'm voting this. No. Understand what you're doing and why this is going to have impact on your daily life. Why these local elections are important, why the Senate, all those things, they kind of intertwine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think, that's why it was so important for us to have this conversation and to have Keisha come in because, for whatever reason, people of color, Black people specifically, a lot of times we don't show up when it's time. And so to vote, and so we definitely want to talk about some of the barriers and, with all the things that are going on right now with police brutality and COVID, is it going to make it harder for us to get out there? Mm-hmm. Or is this a time where we're going to be more invigorated and more motivated because of all that's going on to get out there and have our voice be heard? So definitely important topic today.
And one other thing too, when you're looking at it, we tend to sometimes think of people that are in politics as people who are career politicians, and that's what they've always done. That's what they've always wanted to do. Really happy that we have our guest on. I'm not going to take any shine from Simone, but this is our guest is not someone who was a career politician at all.
Right.
It really has only been within the last couple of years that she's gotten as involved as she is now. So, showing that you don't have to necessarily be a career politician to actually get involved in the politics is a big thing too.
Mm-hmm. We wanted to reiterate this week, even with our title, that your vote matters, especially in these corona times. Like, I know as people of color, sometimes we feel like we vote and nothing happens. We vote and nothing changes. But truly, when we show up and we show out, things can change, things can happen. So I hope that you take that away from this episode, that, feel empowered, use your voice, and just remember somebody, marched and struggled and fought for us to even have the opportunity to vote. Died. Yeah. Let's not take this task that we have lightly. So with that said, I guess, Simone, you can introduce our guest for the day.
Yes. So we have our friend, our own Keisha Dorsey, who is a Louisville Metro Councilwoman for District 3. And I think we said earlier, Keisha has been our friend forever. She's a friend I never met. I don't remember meeting Keisha. She was just there.
It just existed.
We grew up and there she was. So we're so happy to have you. Definitely want to thank you for providing such positive representation for the community and for the way you keep the city, not just your district, but the city informed. I was particularly thankful for the way that I think you did the Facebook Live where you showed where Breonna's Law was being passed. It was so powerful moment. Because of how vocal and active you've been, we knew you'd be the best person for us to have come on and speak with us today about the importance of voting. So thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, sis.
Yeah, y'all welcome KD for D3. What's up?
That was the campaign slogan. I'm sticking with it.
So Keisha, we always start with our general question before we get into discussion. Like, how are you doing in the midst of all that's going on? We know coronavirus is rampant. All the things that are going on with the protests and the law passing and the marching and everything. How are you feeling?
I am feeling, I'm feeling like it's 1620. I feel like I am in the throes of understanding yet again where I fit in this world. So it ain't 1619, right? Because I think I've spent 35 years just existing. 1620, when it hits, wait, we slaves, right? And so understanding what that means to me as far as being a slave. And I mean that in its realest forms, because we went from physical shackles to financial shackles, to mental shackles, and understanding how I fit in this. There was a saying when people say, "How are you doing?" and our default for so long was, "Oh, I'm okay," or "I'm good." And I love the fact that I saw a post around social media when this first started happening, and people were saying, "We are not okay. I'm not okay." I'm constantly angry. I think I have my first gray hair. And
welcome to the club.
Right.
Yeah, we're not a family that grays easily. I'm not okay. I'm frustrated. I'm in constant fear, not just for myself, but for the outcome. I don't want us to give up too soon. I'm afraid that maybe some voices will be heard over others. I'm afraid of misinformation and how that can deter the movement. I'm afraid, if I speak personally and candidly, I'm afraid for my own voice. And say that from the perspective of, I feel like all of us want to speak louder, and go to the extreme of what it would take to hear our voices, but also understanding that comes with a risk.
Yeah.
What am I willing to put on the line to really exalt my voice to the platform that it needs to be? Does that mean I'll be a target of the police if I say what I really want to say? Does that mean that I'm going to be subject to political scrutiny if I say what I really want to say? Am I going to lose my job if I go to the extreme and say what I really want to say? I'm not okay. What I am is doing what every other Black person has done since we were brought to this continent, which is I'm surviving.
I love your answer. I love it. And I think that the time for us to say we're fine or we're good, I think that's over, because we're becoming much more open and just honest and transparent about what the climate is doing to us. And I think I love how you kind of talked about, the actual physical shackles onto the mental, emotional shackles that we are still dealing with and trying to shed. And so it makes me wonder, you talked about the repercussions, like what is the risk that's associated with me speaking out? And I wonder, I don't know the racial makeup of your peers, but I wonder, like other council folks, what that's like for you. Like, what is the racial makeup? Are you in the minority? I would imagine so. And how do you deal with that with folks who may look different than you? How do you manage that within your role?
So I would say from that perspective, I have a really good set of peers that are seeking to understand. I would say that there's something that's more pivotal than a racial divide. For many of us, it's the generational divide. And we're seeing that within our own colorism of being Black, from all of our traditional Black organizations to looking at who are the leaders of BLM, what are their ages, what's their makeup, versus who are the traditional leaders of the NAACP and the Urban League and the old guards from the civil rights. So I think we have a generational issue we have to deal with even within our colorism. I think we have a sexism issue that we have to deal with within our colorism of being Black. So even amongst the Black peers, I am the youngest. and then understanding what that means for my experience and my approach, how I do things. Not only am I the young, I don't have the traditional history of politics. I went into this without an endorsement. I got into politics with very low level amount of funding.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have traditional backings of, some of the PACs, of the various maybe unions or organizations. So I went into this very unbought and unbossed. And that's even that perspective is different, right? Mm-hmm. Because I have a father or mother who were in politics. I don't have, someone guiding me who's been there for years. I'm very much so an independent thinker. Mm-hmm. And I think millennials are, and that's why I say that that's a generational thing, because we do things very independently. Mm-hmm. And so what I see amongst my peers through my lens is that there are some that don't even understand their own bias. Mm-hmm. And and this is across the board. You have some, and I'm not even gonna say white folks, right? We got some people, period, who don't even open mind enough to see their bias, or they're willing to see it to the perspective in which they feel comfortable. Or you have people that are open-minded enough to actually say, I see my bias, and you may have a point. Mm-hmm. I think that's across the board. Then you have this dynamic of white fear, white guilt, and then white solutionizing. And so have those that are fearful of what that means when we say Black power. And so I don't have a problem with stating that, but going back to understanding my colleagues. So there's fear, there's guilt that understands that comes with understanding what has been done and really understanding that this country really has done nothing about it, right? Mm-hmm. And then there's this sense of like empathy. What can I do about it? Or I'm sorry you went through this, and please tell me what I can do. And I think we have that range, not just within the council. I think we have that range within America right now. Period.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah.
Sure. So Keisha, what's your, you mentioned, something that I talked about in the very beginning, kind of bragging on you a little bit, how you're not a career politician. And, this was something that you, from the outside looking in, kind of aspired to do over the last couple of years. How has it been for you since you became a councilwoman?
Open your eyes.
Take a moment of silence on it. I'm not even counting. Awesome. Rough, very rough. Without the legacy of politics, I think I went into this, Brandon, very optimistic, very, very optimistic that I would go in and this will be about the logical things making change. Like my laws, I'm going to read these ordinances, I'm going to engage my community. That is not what happened. We're first talking about a tax increase. Then you go from a tax increase to building up your internal staff, because you got 1,000,001 emails coming at you at one time. Everything from understanding the budget to my trash didn't get picked up to my neighbors playing loud noise to how do I get speed bumps on my street to we've had an accident at this intersection 12 times. What can you do to solve it? And so question is, or the thing is, you can't do it all. Yeah. Your internal staff, get them up to speed, get them educated on who to talk to about what. Then you got city programs left and right, community programs left and right. You want to try to get your constituents connected to the things that are happening in the community. Then it's the wintertime. Everybody wants to do a Christmas program. You're going to 20 different million places. And then it's January. And wait a minute, guys. I never mentioned my personal life. Woo! Because there is one.
Right. Can I live?
And then you get back into January, you're doing it all over again. January, I had surgery, and it's funny how God works because I was like on bed rest for almost like 9 weeks, and I was so agitated, like I'm ready to get up and move. And it's funny because as soon as that was up, Corona was starting. And it's funny how I feel like God gave me a resting period. before this happened because he knew I would be moving nonstop.
Mm-hmm.
So then Corona happened. Now we're back in the middle of budget. And while Corona was happening, Breonna Taylor happened because we were focused on Corona.
Yeah.
And we're Breonna Taylor, and we're watching the biggest sham of voting I have ever seen or heard of in my life, because we're so focused on Breonna Taylor that before our eyes in Jefferson County, we are seeing overt voter suppression.
Mm-hmm.
And so because we're focused on, and not to say that Breonna shouldn't have the focus, but to say we need to figure out how to put people in lanes where we can tackle things in parallel and not isolation. We can put the full weight of our energy behind everything.
Yeah.
So how has it been? It's been very rough. Even last year when I voted down the tax, funny because I remember getting punished. And I'm gonna say this on record, by my own party, by the Democratic Party, getting punished for my vote. And I remember asking them, like, what's the last time y'all been in the hood? When's the last time and have done something directly door knocked with me? I'm not talking about translational programs. And I wrote this down because a lot of people say, well, we do giveaways, we do this. No. Understand me. I'm not talking about your charity. I'm asking what you did in the hood to transform, not right? Because people talk about do programs all the time. We do giveaways. Yeah, people love coming to the hood and giving out hams and turkeys for Thanksgiving. But what are you doing to empower people where I can go buy my own ham and my own? I don't need your charity. I need your transformation. So like, ask people, from that perspective. Don't tell me what you did Thanksgiving and Christmas. What did you do the other 363 days?
What you do in March? What you do in October?
I really have a question about that, because what you were saying earlier and what you're just saying now makes me think about all the stuff that's going on with, racial injustice and voter suppression is what we're really asking people to do all the time. But especially I would assume when we're voting is to look within, right? And to like investigate and think about like, who are you? What do you stand for? Especially when it comes to oppressed identities and communities. And I wonder if you think that, and I guess this is for all of us, but historically, like even though like we went through a lot to get the right to vote and to be able to like show up and vote, Black folks a lot of times we don't show up, right? And I wonder if this time, because of all this going on, if you think that will invigorate people of color to vote, if it'll be a motivating force because we want change, or do you think that we will, folks will continue to kind of shy away and not, I don't know, do their due diligence? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, here's the biggest thing, in my opinion. This isn't about voter registration. I said this earlier. I think I'm gonna tag it. This ain't voter registration. This is voter motivation. Because if we were registered to vote, we would be in a much different circumstance, right? And that's proved election after election. We were even talking about the people who showed up for Obama's election. If the Black women who showed up for Obama's election showed up in Trump's election, he wouldn't have been president.
Right.
So something about not having candidates that we don't like
turns us off. It turns us off.
So it's like, ain't nobody out here representing, what I want. And here's what's hard. This goes back to when I was saying the danger of our voice, because some of us need to run. Stop being afraid. Some of us need to understand that for 4 to 6 years, I'm gonna take this hit. It's gonna be less time with my family. I'm gonna take a risk on losing. My girl Allison Griffin wrote something on her Insta. I hope I find it real quick. But she mentioned something about taking a risk on yourself. Hopefully I can find it real quick, y'all. But she was like, shoot your shot. Like the least that you could do is lose.
Yeah.
Even losing, you're still gonna learn something, right? So do you ever lose if you shoot your shot every single time regarding, because of fear? So the issue is we're expecting people to be the change that we are, not that we want to be. So I'm looking for a candidate who has these qualities that match my values, and I don't see anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and any of us from running for president, nothing. The question is, are we willing to make the sacrifice to do that? And then we get disappointed when we don't see people like us willing to make the sacrifice to do it, when really the question is, should we be doing it? And so that's why I was telling somebody else at the they were talking to me about voting, and I said, well, what if half of us that are talking about voting actually ran for office?
Yeah.
Right? Because then if the majority of people feel the way you feel, then clearly you have a strong backing. So are people looking for you to run so that they can find somebody they believe in? And let me it ain't about intelligence. It's not about education. It's about sheer transparency. It's about ingenuity, the willingness to listen, to hear. There is a level of aptitude that you need to have, but that's not always translated in a formal education. Some of this is smarts and downright hood negotiation, right? So I'm serious. Question is, if you've been able to survive in these streets and at the age of 30, 35, you're still successful, you have a family, God have blessed you to either own your home, or heck, if you're just paying the mortgage and making it on time, those are the same criteria that you need to successfully run an office. I'm not just talking about Metro Council. I'm talking about senator, state rep. If you look at Charles never held an office. Let me tell you something about Charles. Charles is running for state senator. Charles, the first elected office he had is the office he's in now.
Yeah.
Right? He hadn't even spent a full year in office.
Yeah.
I mean,
they're scared of him right now.
Yeah, he has a term in office. He had 1 year in office, right? And then had the gusto to say, I'm gonna take this man on, even though I don't have the longevity behind me. And even if he doesn't win, what he should show the average person is, it don't take a history in politics to be able to take these offices on. It just takes being able to articulate your message and having the courage to get out there and to be the change you want to see. Because my question is, if Charles didn't take it on, we would still be complaining about, well, aim McGrath don't really reflect our values. Hiring Mitch. Well,
and I think people like him probably, even if he doesn't realize it, motivates the next person to do something like that. And that's why representation is so important.
So important.
Yeah. What we gonna say, Tiff?
I was just gonna say, does it really take that? Because I mean, if you look at the top, who's at the top? I mean, if he can do it,
he can do it.
Anybody can do it.
I said your daughter can do it.
That's real talk. I mean, we look at Obama and Michelle, Harvard grads. But if you really listen, Donald Trump is about making America great again. I'm like, why are we mad at the slogan, y'all? Can you understand how he got to where he got? He got to where he got because of the history on our backs. So why great again? Because he didn't get there because he was so astute. He got there based on history and old money. Where did that old money come from? So understand why he said make America great again, because that's how, as a illiterate white male, he can be where he's at because America was not made for people like me and you. We worked for him, and not based on intellect, but sheerly based on the fact that we were a commodity.
Well, that's the scary thing. Is for me as a Black person, when I hear Make America Great Again, and I'm thinking, oh, so then you want to go back to a time when what? That's not for me.
We didn't have rights.
Wasn't that great for us?
Yeah.
And even like voting, okay, it's something, you hit the age and you do it. But now it feels so much more important than ever before, just because I can't think of what life will be like with another 4 years.
Can't do it. Won't do it.
I'm terrified in a way I've never been terrified before. And what is 4 more? And I know we're talking about local, but, obviously we have, the national coming up. Like, what is life going to be like if this happens again? I can't
fathom that. This is why I'm so glad that we were having Keisha on today, because we were talking about before, sometimes as people of color, you feel like your votes just don't count. And Keisha for Keisha to come in, as she said, not a career politician, not a big name in the city. She, didn't have all these connections. She won off sheer vote. Somebody voted for her. So, that for me restores the faith that we have to keep turning out in good numbers. We have to show up, show out, put our votes in the box. No matter if you feel like historically the Black folks have been robbed of their vote or whatever, we have to keep showing up for these folks like Charles Booker, who's like trying to take Mitch McConnell's spot. And I want him to have it.
And people I talked to a close friend this week, they were like, well, voting, it just doesn't work. And I thought, but you didn't vote.
Yeah.
If as a collective come together, oh my gosh, it'd be overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
This is like, you don't vote, it don't work if you don't do it.
Yeah.
And all it is our vote is every single arrow from the Night's Watch. That's every single vote into every time we vote, that's one more arrow to the Night Walkers. Like, let go, y'all. Like, we have an opportunity to take this thing out. And and the reason why I say Night Walkers, because racism feels invincible. Sometimes
yes, it does.
Sometimes it feels like it's multiplying itself. Everyone that we see as an ally, they got two.
Yeah.
Or who feels like an ally on our side is actually infiltrated. So it does feel like, the Night Walkers, and you're trying to figure out where they are in your camp. But shoot, that really becomes irrelevant when we vote, because what we do is take it back to a value-based system versus an emotional system of, I like this person, or, whatever. We go to straight values. We go to straight votes, understanding where people's votes lie. It's either yes, no. Votes don't allow you to sit on the middle ground, and in controlling that's all politics is setting laws and controlling the budget. That's it. It's just somebody would explain it to me before. If you can balance a checkbook at your house or balance a checkbook for yourself, that's how you
do it.
It's just a really big, you're dealing with a couple $1 million. But other than that, all of us are trying to be millionaires. I was like, it's me. Somebody was like, how is it looking at the city budget? I was like, oh, practice for my future company.
Right.
Right. You talked about voter motivation. Going along with that, besides being in some cases not necessarily motivated, how is the current process because of COVID-19? How is that kind of projected to play a part in the upcoming elections?
So I joined a lawsuit. I haven't really said this on the record. So congratulations.
Don't get yourself in trouble now.
Exclusive.
Right? He heard it first.
I joined a action lawsuit with Jason Nemes, who's a state rep, Republican, regarding insufficient voting locations here in Jefferson County. There's so much misinformation, non-complete information around the absentee ballot, different processes that could have been executed but that weren't. The way the system is set up, it's still currently evolving. You can go to the Fair and Exposition Center, I think, a week before voting and vote. But I'm like, okay, I don't remember how long it's open.
Mm-hmm.
Is it still 6? Is it 8 to 4? And that just happened. Where at in the Fair and Exposition Center? Where can I park? How long is it going to take me to get from the parking to the actual building?
Isn't there construction happening at the Fair and Exposition Center? So you can't go in this gate. You got to go in that gate.
Yeah, going through a different gate. Where am I going to park in the center of the things? Is there a tram to take me from my parking lot to that building?
Yeah.
And if you think about that building, where in that building? If you tell me South Wing got a whole bunch of things. So is it
a lot of space?
Is it in one of the halls? Where do I go to find my precinct once I get in there? So all these questions. And so Jason Nemes just simply said, hey, can we open up more than one polling location? Because some of these people are got to travel 40 minutes to get to this location to even, that's before voting. And so then think about, so I travel 40 minutes to get there, then I got to park. Then I got to walk into the location. Then I got to find out where I got to go. Then their line.
Yeah.
Then is there a line? And what he's saying is, if we opened up more locations around the city, there's still going to be a line, because there's lines on normal days when all the polling locations are open with certain precincts. So there are going to be lines whether you have one location or whether you have 6. What we're saying is, even in that case, there's nothing we can do at this point to remedy the situation, but possibly alleviate the severity. I'm thinking, come on now. What they say, show me once, shame on you, show me twice, or do it twice, shame on me.
Twice, yeah.
We saw that in Atlanta. We saw it in Nevada. Why would we do it in Kentucky when people in Atlanta had to wait 8+ hours to vote? Why in the world would we duplicate
in the rain, right?
Yes, why would we do? And no, we don't know what the weather's going to be on the 23rd. So why would we duplicate the same darn foolishness when we saw what happened in these other locations? It was predicted it would happen.
Mm-hmm.
People talk about we listen to people talk about what's reasonable, what's not reasonable. Do we know how long Bobby Hosklaw has been in office? I don't know, but I know
look, she said
ever since I know for
I started to drive.
Exactly, you're right. I remember getting the little
permit.
Was it not the folder with all your stuff? You put all your stuff in, and it kept saying Bobby Hosklaw. And again, that's been I started driving at 18.
So at least 20 years, you know.
She's chilling.
That's an elected position.
Yeah.
That is an elected position. Why is it that none of us have run for that position? Because most of the time we don't understand it. Simone said something earlier. The beautiful thing about what's happening now is that people are now understanding how the process works. Where beforehand, I don't think we've ever taken the opportunity to really understand how politics works. So the beautiful thing that's coming out of this are, one, the younger generation who was kind of lost into where they fit in with the civil rights movement. I understand that not only do they not fit in, they're still in the middle of it. And then the second piece of it is, I think it's reawakened us to see things like we took the blinders off. Yeah. So now we're in it. That's an elected position. It should be 30 million what's the term? I'm saying 30 million. What's the Lil Jon term? 50-11?
50-11. You know what's
that's a question.
What's so funny about her position is that I see it on the ballot all the time. I don't ever know the other people running against her, but because I know that name, because it's on my driver's license, I just keep voting for her.
The number one tool in any candidate's arsenal is not necessarily knowing what their platform is. So there are a very small segment of people who know what my platform is, who are going to read, and I actually pull it up because I want, when I run again, I want to be able to say, this is what I ran on the first time, and this is what I did. But there are a very small group of people that hold us to that. Now, unfortunately, I think it's a lot of people because on my phone, those are the people that are always on my timeline.
Yeah.
But in the grand scheme of things, like, people don't know who I am, right? So it's if you saw Bobby Hosklaw, you probably wouldn't even know who she was. So people are running off of name recognition. That's the number one tool in any campaign's arsenal, is name recognition, even within subconscious. So you're right. We've been voting for Bobby because we're afraid to vote for somebody else because we don't know who they are.
Yeah, real talk, Keisha, I think when she was on the news this week, that's the first time I've ever seen her. I was like, oh, that's Bobby Hosklaw.
That's Bobby.
Her picture is on that thing, on the flip thing.
I want to get that.
Let me tell you something about them politician pictures. They are photoshopped, because mine is, and then you can keep that picture forever. So she had that picture when she first got in office, and she may not look anything like that, but that's an official picture, so she can use that to
use it.
Right.
To the hill.
I know that we wanted to talk. Oh, I'm sorry, Brandon. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I cut you off.
I was gonna say, I know that we want to talk about some logistics stuff for folks, because I know y'all gonna be voting soon. One of my questions was, if if it's voting day and you do go to one of the spot where you can go, like if you feel there's an irregularity, who do you contact? What do you do if that happens?
So traditionally, the NAACP has always had a hotline for those types of issues. I actually spoke to Kelly Cunningham, who kind of is over their national youth program. And she said, oh, I forgot that they're going to start up a week early. So I said, let me know if you all open up the hotlines for the entire week. And I will actually even go and volunteer. I saw something where the ACLU was doing a number. The best I saw that I reached out to, but I don't know if somebody knows somebody who knows somebody who's going to watch this. But Stacey Abrams has a nonprofit out of Atlanta, because I don't know if everybody realized it, but Stacey Abrams, her major platform is voter basically non-voter suppression, or removing suppression or removing barriers that suppress the vote. And so she has a really good platform that was used in Georgia. I was trying to get in touch with her. I hit her up via Instagram, so y'all keep hitting her up, because I'm like, can we set this up? Or, because she already has a platform. I'm like, can we use a 1-800 number? I was throwing suggestions out there, and this is where I say my voice. I had all these ideas. I just don't have a team. Because I was like, can we just set up a hashtag where we can hashtag Kentucky voter suppression? So that way we can archive across all social media platforms where people having issues, and we can have a repository of it, because you may not, if I'm in line, I may not get through, because I guarantee y'all there's going to be so much stuff happening. Them phone lines are going to be off the chain. But can we do a social media hashtag where we're hashtagging, one thing where we have a repository? And I say one, not the NAACPs, not the AOUs, not the Earth. This is all of our space. We ain't got time for trying to claim, no, this is our hashtag. No, we need to be able to see the power of it, and something like social media should be able to develop that. So I don't know. I may have to just create it myself and ask a couple people if they would sign on to it or promote it, where we have a repository of, what's going on. Where come voter day, all we got to do is search our hashtag and see what's going on. Hashtag, this place has no wait. Hashtag, if you get here, know that the line is 2+ hours long. Like, where we
right.
I'm serious.
Yeah.
When we do a post-mortem, I said post-mortem, y'all forgive me. When we do a lessons learned on the back end, or a lawsuit is filed, then you have all your findings of facts, right? Yeah. You don't have to go through and take phone calls. I can pull right off social media people's statements, their names, the times, the pictures, all from hashtags. So, if you just ask me my little humble opinion, being a freshman or being a sophomore politician, I think that's what we need to do.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Gotcha. And it's funny. It was roughly right in line with what I was gonna go with, different methods and whatnot, and talking about suppression and worried about voter tampering at all with these absentee ballots, and how's that looking?
Did she look away?
Don't get in trouble. Don't say nothing that's going to get you fined.
No, I think that traditionally, Black folks really don't trust the system, period. And then when you talk about, so let's break this down. And I know I'm going to be on time, because I was like, y'all going to kick me out at 9.
You got time.
So traditionally with this, one of the things, Black people don't trust the voting system. Most of us like to go in and mark our stuff ourselves. And then I don't know about y'all, but I'm going to stand there while they slide it in.
You got to watch it go down.
Yeah, watch it. Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to get I voted, because I voted. Mm-hmm. And that assures me. What's so frustrating around this, and typically I've been reading Esther. Esther was my devotion in May. I'm reading Psalms in June. But Esther said, if my people were to simply been sold, I would have remained silent. Mm-hmm. We're to be annihilated and killed. And so therefore, I can't remain silent. And I think about that when I joined the lawsuit. I ain't never joined a lawsuit a day in my life, y'all. God, me. But my people are being annihilated in these streets, and not just simply transaction. We're being killed. So the only way for us to do something about that, and the way that Esther chose to do something about that, was, okay, we have to make a political move in order for our people to be able to defend themselves. That's what voting is. We got to make political moves in order for us to keep from being annihilated out here in these streets. So we understand the power of voting, but we also understand the system hasn't always worked for us. So when we were able to vote via I think it was the 15th Amendment.
Yes.
It gave us the power. When we were able to vote, we took that that possession very preciously, because we understood that was the only mechanism that would keep us from being slaughtered, right? It's only amendments, y'all, only amendments in the Constitution that call us citizens and made us free. So we understood the power of it. But when we get to a situation where it's like, does my vote really count? When we start understanding that, we get a little nervous. Then when you get into situations like this absentee ballot, now understand this, y'all. When they say we don't know, we get a situation. When they start talking about, well, we're not sure how we're gonna do this, we're doing the best that we can do, we have every reason, every single reason to be fearful, because we don't know when our vote counts when they got it under control.
Right.
This time they're saying
we don't even know.
Under control, doing the best that we got every reason to be going off, because the system don't work for us. So what they're really saying is, we don't have this stuff under control ourselves. We as Black people got every right to be hitting the roof about this voter situation. Because if you look at that perspective, if the system doesn't work for us on a normal basis, when it ain't working for them, we know we effed up. Right? So but you're exactly right. And the other big thing about this, we keep saying the deadline is Monday. Deadline ain't Monday. For those of us, 60 to 80% of West Louisville households, per Grace Simmerall, who is our city's chief innovation officer, says that 60 to 80% of West Louisville households do not have internet.
Yes.
COVID-19, community centers are closed, libraries are closed.
Yep.
So got that little postcard, right? So you got the postcard, you have to mail it back in unless you got a cell phone. And if most of our kids are paying attention, the elders are like, how do I do this online again? Right? And cell phone works, because I'm gonna tell you, data in West Louisville with this AT&T right here ain't the best.
Right.
So let's get there. So if they're saying the deadline is Monday and I'm dropping my postcard in the mailbox on Monday, it don't work like that. The postcards have to be at the county clerk's office by end of day Monday. On Friday, or I drop it in the box tonight or drop it tomorrow thinking the deadline is Monday for me to get it, for me to mail it in. No. The deadline is Monday for it to be in their office. So the only way the deadline is applicable is if we're using a smart or a web-based device in order to submit it online. If people are doing it via a traditional non-digital mechanism, the deadline was probably sometime last week.
Thursday, Friday.
For the mail.
Yeah, for it to go through USPS to get to their office in time. And y'all know nowadays I can send something to my neighbor across the street. It's still going to take her 5 days to get there. Some facility and then go right back. I'm just being serious.
Yeah.
So, I mean, how many people, and there's no tracking mechanism on that, right? So if I mailed it, how do I know they got it on time?
Right.
So I'm waiting for the ballot to come back to me because I submitted the form back via USPS. I'm waiting for the ballot to come and it never shows up. There's no mechanism to say we didn't receive it on time. Right? So then I gotta go vote in person. And now I either gotta travel however long I gotta travel. If I got childcare issues, I still gotta figure out a way to handle my childcare issues. Then I gotta park, wait in line, then figure out what precinct I'm at, and then go vote, and then find my way back out. Right? And so here's the thing. If I'm the most vulnerable population, we done already said Black folks are the majority of frontline workers, which means we're essential. So you tell me when I'm going to get the time as an essential worker
vote.
to go vote. Right? I don't mean to go vote. we can, most of us can float that because they open up at 6 o'clock. Most of us can get there. If I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be at McFerrin, that's my polling location. I'm gonna be at McFerrin at 6 o'clock, it's 5:30 because I gotta be at work at 7. I can do that. That ain't what's gonna go down.
No, because social distancing, coronavirus.
Went down on the 23rd. So even if I could vote on a regular day like that, in this type of situation, as an essential worker, if I had an hour of time, even if I get off work at 5 o'clock, I get there an hour at a time. What are y'all telling me when the line is
2 hours long? Mm-hmm.
There at 5:30 and the polls close at 6. My kids at home, they still ain't ate. I've been at work all day.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
I know we could go on and on and talk about it, but I wonder, with all that we've said, what would you tell people to prepare them for voting on the day, on the 23rd? What if you had any, I don't know, words of wisdom?
Well, I was gonna start with that saying, this drops tomorrow. You know, I was gonna say, what would you tell somebody about absentee voting? But it's clear that's done. So if you haven't got your ballot in by now, you have to take your little self to the polling place.
Yes.
Here's what I would say. We have right around 24 hours to call. Here's the beautiful thing about Black people. I heard somebody explain why are Black people late. Let's back up. Yeah, sorry, Fred. I'm gonna top you. Black people late. Why? Because before we leave the house in the morning, I'm going to say bye to mama, Mimi. I may call my sister. Love you, sis. On the way to work. Have a good day. Brandon about to kiss Ava, Jamaica. Wait a minute. Baby boy had an accident as I was walking out the door, so let me go handle that. Because Jamaica's like, Brandon, can you? You know, so this is why we're late. We're family oriented, right? Yeah. Our thing. We're family oriented. So when it comes to voting, we need to take that same type of interaction, family loving, call cousins, aunties, uncles, cousins we know that really ain't paying attention. Have you voted? Okay, here's the link. Sending it to you. Do you want me to fill it out? Let me put you on speaker. I'm gonna fill it out for you. Right? This is what we need to do to help each other. We always talk about village when it comes to raising children, but villages are really needed to protect the community. That's what it comes down to. So we need to be a village in this. We need to be reaching out to each other and saying, hey, everybody we know in our networks, text all your friends on social media. Have you voted or have you for your absentee ballot? If you haven't, text me your number or even call me. If you don't have internet access, hit me up DM me. I'll do it for you. I'll just put you on speaker on my phone and I'll do it for you, or whatever, especially for our elders who may not know how to do it.
Yeah.
Let me know if you didn't get it. Because here's the gag. If you register for it and you can prove that you did it on time and you didn't get it, baby, that's grounds for a lawsuit. Because at that point, we have done what we needed to do. So that's why I would say the first mechanism is, even if folks mailed it in with the postcard, let's open up this village that has protected us for centuries through mass atrocities. Open up your village, use your network, and use this mighty tool right here that is saving our lives. Use it to continue to save lives and register people to vote. And then only after that, if people aren't getting it, track them. You know, put it on Facebook. Hit me up if you didn't get your absentee ballot yet. You know, or if by the 23rd. And then that's when we start hashtagging and screenshotting and doing whatever else. But you're right. If as a politician, I guess I'm supposed to restore hope. So that's what I tell you. Let's do it via the phone tomorrow. Let's track it up until the voting day. And then after that, y'all, I mean, as a politician, there's one thing you learn. At some point, if they don't hear you, stop asking. And people demand, well, that's still asking because you're using your mouth. And we see what using your mouth does versus using your hands and your feet. So at some point, we have to stop talking and just be about it.
So Keisha, I think that.
Hey, Simone, what's up with you today?
Simone and Brandon can't get their lives together.
Yeah, what's going on with you? Go ahead, Simone.
I'm hyped.
I'm a gentleman.
Is there any place I can go vote right now? I just want to. Go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, I can go now?
Yes, please.
Sure. You guys have nothing to say?
You better take this window.
I was gonna say that's a great segue to kind of talk about, kind of go into our kind of the last things. Like, where can folks get in contact with you? Like, I know you have a show. How can we watch your show? How can we, stay up with you on so how can we stay up with you on social media, on any of these other platforms, to kind of follow you in your councilwoman journey?
So I have a council page. Thank you for asking that. It's Councilwoman Keisha Dorsey. You can also follow me on Facebook personally. I think most of you all are under Keisha Dorsey. Usually I'm much more candid on my personal page than my council page. Because I remind people when I'm speaking in my council capacity, I am limited. When I'm speaking to you as Keisha and I just happen to be a council person, I'm speaking to you just like I'm speaking to anybody else. But I also understand I have a job that I can't isolate between the two, because even my personal life is my political life. But the difference is what I can say officially, right? So when I'm speaking like this, I'm speaking unofficially, but I can't not unlearn the stuff that I have learned in my official capacity.
Right.
Yeah, so I would say if you want a candid version, follow me personally. If you want my politicized version, which is still very honest, it's just a lot more filtered. Follow my council page. On my council page, I do a weekly show called Millennial Politico, where I try to talk about issues just like this. I usually try to pull in the horse's mouth directly. So if we were talking about Breonna's Law, I went straight to the sponsors. When we talked about housing evictions, I went straight to not the county clerk, Lord, Bobby House Clause on the mind.
It's in your dreams.
Court wasn't David Nicholson, but it was his chief of staff, and Kathy Hinkle. So I usually try to go directly to the sources when it comes to issues that are pivotal in our community. When it came to criminal justice, I had the Bail Project on, and Krista Tibbs, who's a criminal lawyer. So I try to go directly to the horse's mouth with those types of issues. We just talked about voting last week with the state representatives and Jason Emus, who actually filed the first lawsuit before McGrath got on it. And then I'm trying to get the county clerk on this week. We'll see if they take it. They may say that they're too busy. But I did put an ask out for the county clerk to join me, or a representative to join me this week on the show. And just kind of moving forward, with some of the hits and runs about what's going on. I'm going to try to get the FOP on the show, because I think a lot of people want to hear from the FOP.
Yeah.
Not necessarily because we want to hear from the FOP, but what I tell people is understanding people's perspective is the first step in really understanding anything. So whether you're going to be an advocate or whether you're going to be in opposition, you first got to understand their position and who's been silent in this, other than what we've heard them tweet about in the press conferences, other than Jessica Green calling Kenneth Walker a hero.
Yep.
We really have their perspective on this entire case, other than their attacks on Olu and Jessica Green. So I want to get them on the show as well. So I encourage people to listen to the show. It's starting to pick up views. I saw the viewership last week. It was like in the thousands. I'm like, whoa, people listen to me. And I do have a social media person who does it, because as you all saw, I can, just for the record, so y'all can see the councilwoman's always working. Like I have like nest plans.
It's so neat. Look at it. It's so pretty.
So organized.
This is woman after my own heart right there.
My stuff don't look like that at all. You know how my notes look. But
I think
hey, Simone, you just hitting everybody tonight.
I'm gonna just be quiet. I'm just saying, it's on Facebook. You can catch it on Facebook. Is that the only platform?
Yeah, so Facebook is the only platform right now. I am trying to perfect that. I do have an Instagram. You can follow my personal Instagram. But I will tell y'all, sometimes I get so overwhelmed that I am so grateful to have a team that just manages the Facebook. And I've asked her, I said, please master Facebook. I'm going to tell y'all why. Because Facebook is the one, it is the one thing that everyone uses.
Everybody's using it.
Right.
And and boomers use it, where a lot of boomers aren't really into Twitter, Instagram, and other platforms. We're growing there, but my goal is to build the Facebook platform. So maybe next year you guys will really see me expand into Instagram and Twitter. But I just want to make sure that we perfect one platform before really diluting it and going into other ones.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
Simone, for the record, I was just going to say the same thing. So
we can keep talking, but I know we're at our time. And so we always talk about self-care and what we're going to do to take care of ourselves, and just kind of, what we're going to do in the next week. And so we definitely want to hear from everybody, especially you, Keisha, with all that you're doing. Is there anything you can think of that you want to focus on in terms of just kind of maintenance? Protecting your sanity, what would you say?
So one, shout out to Kiss for these press-on nails.
I was gonna say, you went to the nail shop.
Right.
Shout out to Kiss for these press-on nails. Just I love a good manicure and pedicure for downtime. So I soaked my feet in, my little makeshift basin, found toenail polish to match these press-on nails, put these on, and just took that time. I'm trying to drink more water.
Mm-hmm.
And I bought a Groupon today for CrossFit because I really miss somebody yelling at me, believe it or not, telling me to lift stuff.
Yes.
I lift it up and I'm like, oh my God, I did that. And so I kind of miss that high intense, football, relentless workout. So I bought a Groupon for CrossFit, and I've been doing really good at tracking my food. So those are my ways of trying to keep sanity, because I will tell y'all, up until 2 weeks ago, I was eating everything that I saw in motion.
Man.
Because
you're not alone.
I was eating my feelings. I understood what was on the line. If I expressed my rage in the way that I felt it, I would be in jail. So sometimes the way for me to suppress what I was feeling was to eat it.
Eat it. Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, that self-care for me these past 2 weeks is my press-on nails, my makeshift manicure, my water, and my boot camp. Now I just got to start it and actually wake up. That's a different story. But
Well, good. What about you? You two, Tiffany, Brandon.
You go, Brandon.
Oh, put me on the spot. I'm good with mine. Mine is going to bed at a decent time. The kids are going to camp and daycare starting tomorrow.
Jealous.
Hey.
I'm jealous. I'm mad you're not with me.
I'm so happy. But I mean, I gotta get up. I gotta get up even earlier. So I have to start getting up a little bit right at 6 or a little bit before 6. So I need to start going to bed at a decent hour.
Okay.
You want to go?
Well, good for you, Brandon. Good for you. Oh, you want me to go?
Yeah.
I would like to start journaling again. When I got here, y'all all know Tiffany Stoner. And she's an avid journaler. And she talked to me and Sean about journaling, and Sean has done a better job. But it really, really helped me to just get my feelings out and to, process what all is going on with me and organize my thoughts. And so I really want to get back into that. I'm going to try to start tonight. And I have my Michelle Obama becoming, I have the book, but also the journal. So I'm going to use that because at least it has prompts, So that's going to be my self-care.
All right.
If mine's this week, I'm just gonna try to reclaim my time more. I really want to do. I write down goals for the year at the beginning of every year. I try to write down goals for myself, and this year I noticed I wrote down the goal of doing more of what makes me happy. And I can't say that I've honestly done a lot of that this year, just things that I want to do. So I want to, try to do more of that this week. Just really things that I want to do, not things that people want me to do, just doing things that make me happy. So I want to try to reclaim my time a bit this week. So I'm kind of trying to build on last week's goal of taking stuff off my plate.
Well, Keisha, thank you so much for being here. Thank you.
Thanks, sis.
Yeah.
I'm going to y'all with this quote.
Yeah.
Finally found it. It says, shoot your shot and make your mistakes. By trying something new, you're already winning. So I think, and my friend Allison Griffin posted that. But I think that if I had to summarize what's happening right now in a quote, this is it. Black America is shooting their shot, and we're making mistakes. There were rioting, there was looting, but by trying something new, we're already winning, and we see the result of that. So that's my quote I would like to leave us with.
Thank you so much, Keisha. Like, before we go, I just wanted to drop a quick tie-in. If you watched last week's episode of These Corona Times, we were really just talking about reopening up and what that meant for us. And we shared some memories of someone we know as Uncle Mike. And just for an Easter egg, Uncle Mike is Keisha's dad. So I know that if Uncle Mike were here, he would be grinning from ear to ear. He would be so proud of you, so happy for you. And we are really proud of you. You know, we love you. I don't call Keisha Keisha. I call her Diva because I've just known her that long. So it's weird for me to call her Keisha. But we love you so much, Diva. We thank you so much for being on. And just keep doing what you're doing, because what you're doing is showing other folks, you know, who look like you, that you can do this. You can get out here. You can make a name for yourself. You can change the game. You can set the path for somebody behind you. So we really appreciate you taking the time to come on and be with us today. And, you know, we got your back. You know, KD for D3.
I gotta share this because I've never been to any other inauguration or whatever you call it, but we went to it was at Keisha's, and she made these little bags full of
She still got it.
And one of them has mustard seeds, and, you know, of course, faith, the smallest mustard seeds, you know, in the church, we know what that means. But then there was one part where you had us write something on the paper, and I think it was something that we, like a goal, and mine said to interview successfully for internship, match, and complete my degree and inspire others. And I've truly done that. So I keep this with me, and it's in my top drawer. So thank you, Keisha.
Yeah.
You're welcome. So I'm logging out right now, but I appreciate what you guys are doing, bringing a voice. I love the fact that it's grassroots. You know, ain't nobody on here popular, but shoot, that's how the Breakfast Club started.
Right.
So keep doing what you're doing. Hopefully we look back one day and this is the world's newest Breakfast Club, and heck, I may be a youth senator. So
hey, never know.
But we getting off too. So sit. All
right, we're gonna all leave. See. Yeah. So till next time, we want y'all to stay safe in these Corona times. Wash your hands.
Wash your hands. Take care of each other.
Until next time, we remain yours.
Yours.